Hi, welcome to the Comfy Red Couch. My name's Tracy and I am your host. I am coming to you from Toronto where it is a sunny day now. It was a bit gloomy earlier, but the clouds have blown away for a little bit. We'll see how long that lasts, and looks like we're going to have a nice day. So, welcome to episode 14 of the Comfy Red Couch. My name is Tracy, as I said. I am Tracy RR on Ravelry, and I am Comfy Red Couch on Instagram. And this week I have a co-host in the background. That's Tasha. And a little bit of a story from episode 13, which I didn't mention while I was recording, but I wasn't quite myself on episode 13. Our little Tasha here, who, gave her a bit of a start, she's an indoor cat, and she is very skittish, so it's very, very rare for her to even look like she's going to go outside, let alone to actually do it. And on Saturday afternoon, my husband said to me, "Have you seen the cat?" And we have a big house, and she often just sort of has little spots that she likes to hide, but I hadn't. And then the next morning, it was, "Where is the cat? She hasn't come down for food." I shook my blocking wire. She didn't come running, which is usually, she always comes running when I shake the blocking wires. And we just couldn't find her anywhere. And before I recorded last time, so 2 weeks ago, I went out in the backyard and I noticed we had a family of hawks. And so red-tailed hawks. I took a photograph of one because it landed, like 10 feet away from where the back of our house is on our fence. And they were huge. And one actually flew at one of our neighbors. It was actually quite scary. And I thought, oh no, we can't find the cat. She's slipped outside because Scout knows how to open the back door. She must have slipped outside, and there's no trace of her. And so we thought a hawk got her. Thankfully, as you can see, a hawk did not get her. I went out late that night and took the food bowl and shook it, and I could hear this poor meowing happening. And I went out the front door, and she had somehow gotten under our porch, and we have lattice under our porch, so she got herself in but couldn't get herself out. So I was able to break the lattice a little bit, get her out, and she's been home happy with us, and both the boys were very happy to see her, and Greg was definitely happy to see her. So happy to say I have a co-host with me today. So that is what happened, I guess, the last time I filmed the Comfy Red Couch episode 13. So now we're on to 14. Hopefully some better and brighter things will happen. So definitely happy to have her back. So anyway, welcome to the podcast. If you're just a new viewer with us, welcome. I hope that you enjoy what you're going to see. If you are returning, thank you for coming back again. I love being able to record the podcast, and it's nice to know that I have people who come back to watch every week, so thank you for that. So we are going to move on. I've got a lot of things to show this week. I've got 2 weeks to make up for, and I'm going to start off with Material Girl. So this week I do not have a finished object to show. I was kind of hoping I would. Unfortunately, my almost finished dress has a date with the seam ripper. So this is my Not a Real Green dress, and I got a really good chunk of it done. It's for the most part sewn together, and I was sewing the bias tape on, and I just don't love how the bias tape is looking, and especially around the neckline. This does have bias tape on it, but unfortunately it was sort of folding out, and I definitely did not like that look. So I folded it in for the meantime to sort of see whether that would do, but I don't love it. So I'm gonna rip it all out, rip out all this as well. And what I had done was I had made my own bias tape. So this is actually just the material turned inside out and around the edges, but I just don't love it. So I'm going to take a look around, find something I like better, and then rip all this out and redo it, and then I'll have a Not a Real Green dress that I do love, because there's no point making it and then never wearing it because you don't love it. So, especially when you've put so much work into it. So that is what I'm going to do with this one. But I do have some other fun material to show you that I did get. I was in an Instagram conversation and I was enabled. I was told about this place, fabric.com, and as you can tell, I bought quite a bit. My sister-in-law lives just on the other side of the border, and because we were going camping in New York State and we were going for a week, that meant that I could have something shipped to her and then bring it across within my allowance, and so that's what I did. So I got some fun materials, and most of these are, all of them are cotton and steel. I've got a Rifle Paper Company cotton and steel as well, so they're very Halloweeny, but I love them. So I bought the skeleton cats. I love the color, and then of course with cats that are little skeletons. That was kind of a fun little motif to get. I also bought the witch's cupboard. So inside the witch's cupboard are all the little things like hound's howl, eye of newt, swamp fog, toad tongues, and so all the ingredients are in here. So I got about I think it was 5 or 6 yards of each because I want to make some dresses, and I wanted to have enough yardage because I didn't want to be guessing exactly what I would be making. I thought there's other things I can make the leftovers with as well. So I also got, this is similar to one I showed a couple of weeks ago, but this one has little gates, and it's got the little tombstones and the glow-in-the-dark ghosts and the moon, so haunted house in the background. And I had to decide between this blue and sort of an off-white, sort of, it wasn't cream, I don't think, it was sort of like a grayish white. So I had to decide between the two, and I decided to go with the blue because I thought it would be a little bit more fall-like, because I won't be getting to these until the fall. And then I bought the Princess Castle material, and as soon as my sister-in-law saw this, she said, oh, she thought my niece was going to love it. And did my niece not come and just go, ooh, pretty castles? And she wanted that. So maybe at some point I'll make a little dress for her out of this if I've got some leftovers, because I definitely want to make some for myself too. And I also got the Wonderland series, so lots of teacups because I do love my tea. And there was a teapot, another Wonderland one that I liked, but I had to decide between the two. So I went with the navy teacups rather than the black teapots and cups. Figured I can always go back, right? And then the one that really captured my attention that I really loved was the keys. And I love this blue. So lots of fun material, and I'm going to have lots of fun figuring out what they're going to become and making things with them. So I've got to get all the thread, I was going to say yarn, I've got to get all the thread to match all of the materials and figure out which patterns I'm going to use. I do have all the patterns that I've been stocking up upstairs, and so that is what I have in the fabric.com box. That was the box portion of the podcast, and now we're on to the bin portion. I've got a huge bin filled with lots of different things. When I went away, I needed to block the Shawl Society 3 shawl, and I was looking for something that I could soak it in, and I thought I might as well just buy a big bin because I've got some storage issues upstairs, and I purchased this bin, and it's been great for just sort of sorting stuff today, and I'll be able to take it up and put it with the other bins that are upstairs. I do like the see-through. I like the Rubbermaid ones the best, but I haven't seen the Rubbermaid ones in a while, so I just picked this up at the grocery store, and it's a big, I was going to get the smaller version, and then I thought, nope, just pay the $2 extra and get the bigger version because I will use it. So got lots of fun things to show today, and we'll start off with It's a Sockness. So in It's a Sockness, I have a new pair of socks that I have started, and I showed the yarn on Instagram. This is my Slytherin sock by Nora George, and I'm just doing a plain vanilla sock. It's sort of like a little self-striping. It's got little tiny green and blue stripes on it. And I'm just using the same pattern that I used for my Beauty and the Beast socks, which is one that I've just been figuring out as I go along. And I've actually put the instructions, I guess my own numbers, on my Beauty and the Beast Ravelry page. I think it's chapter 3 is the name of those socks. And I've just put the numbers there, and more for a cue for myself, so that when I get down to, you know, the toe or whichever, I remember how many I picked up and that. So it's by no means a well-written pattern. It's just a guideline for myself as to what I've done, because I've cast on 72 stitches, and this one again I'm just doing straight stocking stitch, and I wanted to really just showcase the yarn. So plain vanilla sock, and did the flap. I'll do the flap heel again, and so I started these a couple of days ago, and I'll hopefully have one done for next week. We'll see how that goes. So anyway, Slytherin sock. I've called these ones my house socks, because I am a Slytherin on Pottermore.com, so I'll be proud of it and make some Slytherin socks. So that is one of my works in progress. I've got a few actually. And I do have a finished object in It's a Sockness, and those are my Beauty and the Beast socks. And they were still drying this morning. The toes are a little bit wet. I blocked them yesterday. I just soaked them and blocked them yesterday. They've been done for a couple of days now. So these are my chapter 3 socks. So this is the La Bête skein, and this is the La Belle skein, and together they are my chapter 3 socks. And as I said, these are just my own little recipe that I'm just working on, and 72 stitches on, stockingette stitch, flap heels, and then I've just done a bit of a toe with Kitchener stitch at the end. The toes are kind of cute. They're a little tiny bit of the stripe at the end of each. This one got the purple stripe at the end, so a little bit more of a prominent, but no one's going to see them because they're in my shoes. So anyway, I do have another set of these two, and so then I'll have a matching pair, because even though they are cute, I'm not quite sure I want to wear them mismatched, and so that's they smell nice. I used the soak last night. So these are my finished objects for my socks for It's a Sockness. So happily, they took me about a month to make, which I had other stuff going on, so that happens sometimes. So there we go. So I have a few things in my bin to show for my favorite things, and the first one is in my bird leg bags London bag. And before I show this, I just wanted to show you what I had picked up yesterday. So I had taken a workshop with my sister on Brioche with Kate Atherley way back last October, so the very end of October, and I had been doing really, really well on my sample, but the problem is that I hadn't picked it up since October 30th, and so when I did pick it up yesterday, I couldn't remember where I'd left off, and I was a little bit lost, obviously, and totally messed up my Brioche little practice thing. So I thought, instead of fighting with this, just trying to remember how to do it, let's just pick up the pattern and start knitting. So I had been planning to do a Lemon Difficult by Kate Atherley, and I had purchased the yarn back in October, and the yarn had been Lichen and Lace, and the first skein was Calm Waters by Lichen and Lace, the 80/20 sock, and I had purchased a Wildflowers as well in the 80/20 sock, but ended up using that on my snow melt. So before we went on our camping trip, I did stop by the Purple Pearl, and I picked up another Wildflowers 80/20 sock. So I am doing these two together for Brioche, because I decided that while I was away, I was going to try and master brioche, or at least some, try to get some brioche done. So I did start Lemon Difficult yesterday, and once I got going, it wasn't terribly difficult. Not to say I didn't make any mistakes. I did do some tinking back, but so this is my brioche scarf so far, and Lemon Difficult is just a triangular shawl that increases every few rows, and so that's what I've been doing. So I've just been doing them in the blocks, and nice and squishy. So as I said, I've had a couple of mistakes, but I've been able to tink back and work on those. And so I just started this late yesterday afternoon, early evening yesterday, and I've done fairly well. So this is my right side, this is my wrong side, but because it's brioche, they're both kind of fun. So next week, hopefully I'll have some more of this to show you as well. So this is one of my works in progress that I'm working on, and a little bit potato chippy, so really, really happy to finally have started my brioche. One of my goals by the time September rolls around is to get my brioche ponchology. Doesn't sound like it should be the way it is, but I think that's how it's spelled, by Suzanne Summers, Sosu. She has a poncho that's made in brioche. So I've had the yarn for a good year now, and I've been wanting to get that done, but I wanted to make sure that I sort of understood how the brioche worked before I started working with it. And the main reason is because the pattern has two colors of the two colors at the very top are the same. So I'd be working with navy and navy, and because I'd be doing two of the same, I thought that would be a little more difficult. So I wanted to start off with something a little more simple, and that's what I've been doing. So another pattern I also want to do in the brioche is it's all about that brioche. So maybe I'll get to that at some point too. So there's so many things I want to do that I just don't always get to, but the brioche ponchology, that's what I'm hoping to get to by, as I said, before the fall starts, so that I can have a nice poncho to wear. And this one will hopefully be done well before then. So, oh, it's so squishy and soft and nice. So anyway, and it's always fun working with the lichen and lace, and this wildflowers is one of the fun colors that they have there. So anyway, that goes back in my project bag, and we're ready to show you some other things too. So it's hard to get back in the bag. Pause. It's all tangled. Okay. Oh, still tangled. Okay. There. So hopefully next week I'll have some more to show you. If not, maybe even a finished object. Although I know what my week looks like ahead, so maybe not. So this is my favorite things bag, and at this point I cannot show you what's inside. I can show you that on my bag there are raindrops and roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles, warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages, and so this is my little skein in the big wool project bag, and inside is the pattern for and some yarn for the Shawl Society 4. So I just got that in my email today, printed it up, and I've got my yarn here. It's ready to go. I think I'm actually going to make 2 versions of it, and Helen has sent me yarn that's in here for one version, and I have some other yarn that I was really wanting to do TSS4 with. So I've got one skein here and one is in the post, so I will hopefully get 2 versions done to show you at the beginning of August. I think the release date is August 3rd, and so it's kind of an interesting looking one, and I'm excited to start knitting it. So tonight, after I have edited and while I'm waiting for the probably 2-hour upload for this, I will start knitting on this. So many things to do. So anyway, so that's there, and then you'll remember that this bag had held my Shawl Society 3, and all that's left inside this bag now are my leftover balls of yarn. And I was actually really amazed. I did 2 extra repeats on the Vila shawl, which was the Shawl Society 3, and I had lots of yarn left over from just my very first skein of each of these. So I had bought 2 skeins of each of these colors because I thought that because I was going to be making a bigger shawl I might need more, and I didn't, so I was really quite pleased. I had so this is Midnight, and I used 69 grams. These are 115 gram skeins. I used 69 grams, so I've got 46 grams here left over in, this was color C. Color B was the Eclipse, and I used 70 grams, so that means I've got 45 grams left here out of 115. And this one I used 69 grams. This is the River Rock, and this was my main color. And I used 69 grams, so I've got 46 grams left of the 115. So if you are thinking of doing a fingering weight shawl, because it is summertime and it's warm, 115 grams, I had lots left over, so if you used 100 grams skein of whatever, you'd probably be okay. So, and you know what, the pattern is easy enough to adapt if you're worried about not having enough. So I was very excited to have that left over, and I've got 3 full skeins, 1 full skein of each, that I can make something else with. You'll be invited soon, mister, at tea time.
Wait, can I have a graham cracker?
You may have a graham cracker. So my final thing I get to share on my favorite things is my Vila shawl, and this was the Shawl Society 3 that was released this past Thursday, and I was still working on it when I went camping, and I had to figure out how to block it. So as I said, I bought this big huge bin, soaked it. Now the funny thing is I had some little packages of soak, and I thought that it was the soak liquid inside, and it turned out to be hand cream. So I started pouring it into the bin as the water was running in, and I realized very quickly it was not soap, it was cream. So I turned the water off really quickly, dumped it out a couple times, put some hand cream on because my hands were disgustingly dry while I was away. So I was sort of happy to have the cream, but not the fact that I'd wasted some of it. And so I just soaked this in just water, so no soap, and laid it out on the picnic table and stretched it out as best as I could, because I didn't have my blocking wires with me. I had originally brought my my clips with me because I was going to hang it over a clothesline, and just with some clothes pegs, but unfortunately I forgot the rope at home, and my sister-in-law had some rope, but they were still at the beach, and the space that was between, we were staying in a cabin, just not quite a yurt. It was better than a yurt, but just a cabin that had a very basic cabin, and there were big pillars, and the pillars weren't far enough apart to really put this long shawl on without covering the door. So, and I didn't have enough rope for that. So anyway, I was able to lay it flat on the picnic table, and you know what? It blocked out really, really nicely. So I just kept pulling at it and making it the way I wanted. If I had been at home, I probably would have stretched it out more than it needed to be. And you know what? It's really quite nice. So what I did, the pattern calls for a thicker fingering weight. So I guess originally Helen had thought it was a sport weight, but it's actually a heavier fingering weight. So I've used a fingering weight as well, but a lighter fingering weight. It's a Merino Singles. It's the Viola Merino. I've used the Viola Merino Singles, and I've done 2 extra repeats instead of 5. So I've got 7. And I really, really like how it turned out. It was a lot more work because of those extra repeats, but I do really like the size and how it's all turned out. So it's a nice size wrap, and And so, yeah, so this is the River Rock, my color A. My color B is the Viola Eclipse, and my color C in the lace is the Midnight. And so it's just a beautiful, beautiful wrap that drapes really nicely, and so it's warm and snuggly. And so this is my Vila wrap, and the project name I chose was Viola. And the reason is because I used Viola yarn, and because it's a Vila shawl, there was one letter difference. So even though it's called Viola, it's not spelt V-I-O-L-A, it's spelt V-I, and then I've used an emoji, which is like a wind emoji, and L-A. So it's Vila, Viola, however you want to pronounce it. But I've been calling it Viola with the wind emoji in the center. So Ravelry doesn't let me do that at the very top in my title. So I've just put Vi, wind emoji, la, and, or V, wind emoji, la. And so that is the working title of my Vila shawl. So nice, warm, it'll be great in the fall, and or cool summer evenings. Not winter now. Winter will be perfect, but for cool evenings it'll be just nice and snuggly. And there were a couple nights this past week where it would have been nice to have pulled it out, but I also wanted to have it blocked and looking pretty good for when I showed it today. So that is my there's the back of it. That is my finished object, and as I said, I'm going to be starting the Shawl Society for Test Knit this evening, and I'm hoping to get 2 of those done, and hopefully quickly, because I've got so much that I want to do, and at least I'm on holidays, so I can work away as I can. So those are my finished objects for my favorite things, and I do have some brown paper packages as well as some brown paper bag things, and I'll start off showing you with some of the things that I purchased while I was away. So this week I'm going to start off with something that I've actually had for a while, and I showed a photograph on Instagram, and that was Knit Your Own Cat. I purchased this book, I think about 5 years ago, and the funny thing is I wasn't really back into knitting. I just thought it was the cutest book. So I purchased it, and so it's got these really great little photographs of different cats you can knit. So all the different cats and all the different types of cats that you can knit, and just a fun little book to have. I thought more like a coffee table book. I have not knit my own cat yet. I've got one already, and I did see Knit Your Own Dog. They had 2 versions of Knit Your Own Dog, and I did pick them up and I took a photograph. I've also seen they have a Knit Your Own Zombie book like this as well. I was tempted to get that one at one point, but anyway, this is more for my little archives, just to keep in the house and as a fun book to look through. So I did see this again in the Barnes & Noble when we were in, I guess Ithaca is where we were staying near, and so I thought I'd pull this out of the vault to show you. And the funny thing is, while we were away, I actually didn't buy any yarn. I bought some books and I bought some yarn sort of things, but no actual yarn. So another thing I purchased while I was at the Barnes & Noble was Cables Untangled, and I just liked it. Had lots of different patterns with cables in it, and then the other thing I really liked about it was that it had different cables and how to make them, so sort of like a cable dictionary. So I thought I would pick this up while I was there, because sometimes I find the American bookstores seem to have a lot more on, like, in stock than the Canadian ones, although I guess I don't always go hang out in the knitting section. I do buy most of my stuff from Ravelry, and anyway, so I liked this. I thought it was a good resource to have, so I picked up this one. And we did go to a yarn store while we were in the Finger Lakes area, And as I said, I didn't pick up any yarn, but what I did pick up was 365 knitting stitches a year. And so this is just a calendar that it has like July 1st, but it doesn't have a day attached to July 1st, so that you can just sort of keep using the calendar, so it doesn't say Saturday, July 1st, and then at the end of the year you toss it. This is just one of those ones that you can sort of flip through. So I thought it was kind of an interesting one to have, and it sets up like a calendar. It's still in the package. Not quite going to open it yet, but I thought that was kind of a fun thing to have as well. And so that was one of the things I bought. The other things I got some dryer balls. So this is about as close to yarn as I got, felted yarn balls. And I've been wanting to get, I had some plastic ones at one point, but they just didn't like them, and I don't use dryer sheets or fabric softeners, so hopefully this will help with the static cling, especially in the wintertime. And then I found some really, really cute things. And these are little buttons. I'm missing a couple. There we go. And they're by a company called Achilled Ivy Designs. And I just thought they were so cute. And they're machine washable, but not dryable. I think they're made out of like Fimo or like polymer. I'm not sure what it's made out of exactly, but they're not clay, but they're like a builder's clay type of I don't know how to describe them. So anyway, love these pink ones. These pink ones had to come home with me. And then they had these really fun, just single ones. And they've got like a really great texture to them where the flowers are raised. And that one as well. So those were my big purchases when we went to the store in Lake Seneca area. Trying to remember the name of the store. And of course, Nathaniel's got my iPad, so I can't remember what it is. So I'll try and remember to put it down under the show notes. So anyway, so I was able to get these Achilled Ivy 2 buttons, and just try and figure out what to put them on. I've got to start making some garments. And I did have some yarn things arrive before I left and after I left, and I'll show you some of the stuff that arrived before I left. So I purchased some labels from Grain Deep, and that's their information there. And Grain Deep does some wood tags as well as different labels. So they have leather and they have ultra suede. I purchased the ultra suede, and so I just had some little Made by Tracy labels made, and it's not going to probably focus very well. These say Made by Tracy. They're very hard to see because this one is navy, but it's got the little tiny holes for sewing. And but I did get some lighter color ones as well. So I wanted the navy, and then I got some blue ultra suede. They say Made for Tracy this way, and a little sheet, and you just fold them in half like that so that they can sort of attach onto the side or onto the garment. And so I got them in this blue color, like a surfy sort of blue color. And then I also got them in pink because I like pink. And the pink, I'll fold it in half, is there with the little sheepy on the other side. So I was able to get 25 of these and 25 of these. So and the great thing about that too was Grain Deep is a Canadian company. They're based in Mississauga area, and so I was able to get something from Canada, no duties. It was fantastic and personalized. They were really great about communicating back and forth what I wanted, because I wasn't quite sure, and they sent me little proofs to see if I wanted, because originally what I thought I wanted turned out to be a little bit different. So I loved the proofs and being able to then sort of create a personalized tag for myself. So I've got some personalized tags now to start putting on some of my finished objects. So that'll be really nice to get done. Those navy blue ones will really look nice on my violet shawl. So grain deep and my lovely little tags. And another thing that arrived before I left was I had ordered some more of the blue brick yarns on, these are the ombres, and I ordered the, both of these are in Killarney sock, and that's an 80-20, so 80 superwash merino, 20 nylon, and I had shown these a couple of weeks ago, I guess, after Worldwide Knitting in Public Day. I had gone to the Purple Pearl, and they had some, just a trunk show, and now they're actually going to be carrying it as a regular feature. So this is the daisy, and so based on Gerber daisies, and it's got the yellow and the pinks and the purples. And then the other one that I was really, really wanting, they only had lace in stock, so I decided to order online, was Pride. And of course you've got Pride Month was happening, and we had a big Pride parade in Toronto. But also we also had the Canada 150 celebration, so fireworks and lots of beautiful celebrating lots of pride. So Canadian Pride and Pride Parade, lots of different meanings behind it, but I just love the rainbow here. And again, Killarney sock, 80-20 superwash merino nylon, and so a fun ombre. And I know that there's a pattern that's been designed to go with this, and I'm not sure what I will use it for, but I just really love all the little Roy G. Biv in there, all the beautiful rainbow colors. So that was what I got from the blue brick before I left. And then I also got some other fun things before I left that have been shown online. I did show them on Instagram. So Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade has re-released a larger version of Fireflies Rising, and she's paired up with the Wool Kitchen and Travel Knitter, and they've come up with some special colorways based on fireflies. And so I, of course, even though I knit the original version a couple of years ago in a Noro, and I gifted that to one of my son's childcare teachers. And but I couldn't resist buying the special colorways. And while I was doing that, I saw Wool Kitchen had this really fun sock blank gradient in rainbow colors. So I had to get this, because who wouldn't want to get these beautiful colors? So again, not sure what I'm going to make with it. I think this will have to be a shawl, because I really want to take advantage of the gradient and keeping the colors sort of intact. There's no point doing a sock that's going to be yellow and green, and then the other one purple and blue and pink, because they'll be odd and I won't like that. And with the sock blank, you just can't cut it in the middle. You'll ruin the whole thing. So I think some sort of fun shawl that will really show off the ombre and the changing of the colors. And so Wool Kitchen also had Fireflies Rising. Dancing Fireflies. Sorry. So this was the Dancing Fireflies, and so I bought 2 of these, and this is a silk merino blend. I think it's a 50-50 silk merino, and I have a skein that's like a gold with rainbow colors, and I thought it might look nice put together, and it's the same 50-50. It's a Lichtfaden skein, so I'm not sure how the colors will go together. I have to put them together to see, but I thought it might be nice to make something larger with these. And so those are from the Wool Kitchen, and that was Dancing Fireflies. And then the other thing, whoops, I dropped it, that I picked up was from Travel Knitter. And oh my gosh, I love camel silk. And so this is 50% baby camel and 50% silk. And I'm not sure whether the two skeins are, I think these are, there's little bits of blue in here, and turquoise. Oh, there we go. So this one is called Midnight Fireflies, and again, I had to get two of these, and I actually purchased these on my anniversary, so all of this was my anniversary gift to myself. That was the day that we went out to my parents for Father's Day, and I bought some material as well, but who else is going to buy it for me? So anyway, so these are all the Fireflies special knit, special yarns for the Fireflies Rising, which is going to be a knit along leading up to the the Great London Yarn Crawl, and I think that's in September. I wish I could be there, but I can't. So anyway, that was what came in my mailbox just before I left on holiday. And I have one more thing to show, and well, two actually, but they all came in the same package, and this is a spoiler alert. So if you don't want to see, hear, whatever, turn off your TV, run away, go make yourself a cup of tea, whatever you need to do, because I'm going to show you some Homespun House Harry Potter fun goodness. So the Secret miniature that goes with the July Homespun House Harry Potter Club is a little birthday cake that Hagrid gave Harry. It says, "Happy birthday, Harry," and of course happy and birthday are spelled wrong. And so that is the Secret miniature that came with the yarn. And the yarn, spoiler for sure, is Make-A-Wish Harry. And so it's a fun speckled yarn, lots of different colors in there, and this is, I need my glasses on, 75% merino, superwash merino, 25% nylon, and this is the soft sock merino, the fingering weight. So in Make-A-Wish Harry. So lots of fun little colors in there. I love these greens in there, and lots of purple, and I think there's even little bits of pink, and there's yellow. Anyway, so yeah, there's the yellow. Anyway, so very, very beautiful skein and fun club to have. I am signed up for the next session of the Homespun House Harry Potters as well, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what else comes in these ones as well. So anyway, that is all I have. So I received this week in the mail, and I received some the yarn for Shawl Society 4 in the mail, and that was it. So while I was away, it was a quiet week, which was probably a good thing. But I had a lot to show today anyway. So anyway, that is what I have in my brown paper packages, or I should have called it my big plastic bin. So it is now empty. Yay. Okay, and I'm going to have a special guest for tea time, so I better go make some tea. Welcome to tea time. We have our mugs, and I have Nathaniel with me as a special guest on tea time today. And what mug are you drinking out of, Nathaniel?
Chocolate mint.
You are drinking chocolate milk, but what mug are you drinking? Chocolate mint tea. What mug are you drinking out of?
I'm drinking out of a Paris mug.
Your Paris mug. Do you want to show everybody what your Paris mug looks like? Yeah, carefully. It's because it's got lots of tea. Oh, what's that right there?
The Eiffel Tower.
The Eiffel Tower. Nice. There, so that's your, and what does it say right here?
It says 7 Amand de Paris.
It says 7 what?
Amand de Paris.
7 Amand de Paris. I think it says J'aime Paris. And then over here, it says, I think it says Moi aussi or Me Too, one or the other. I can't read it. But
Me Too.
So that is your Paris mug. And where did you get that mug from? Did you get it from Toronto?
No.
No, where did you get it from?
Paris.
Paris, because last year, where did we go?
Paris.
London and Paris. And today you are drinking this lovely,
Can I see?
yeah, chocolate oolong mint, chocolate mint, showing the French side. Oh, it's only one side. So stash, chocolate mint, and this one came in a little yarn package from Megan of Lichen and Lace. So there were two. Nathaniel's having one now, and it smells so nice. Did you smell this when I took it out of the bag? Does that smell nice? Really minty. And so you're
Wait,
drinking.
can I smell again?
Mm-hmm. Nice. So today we're just sort of drinking out of some of the little tea bags that I have. I'm actually just drinking my Marks and Spencer tea in my Mine cup because I'm needing some caffeine makeup for all of last week because I didn't always get my tea when I wanted it last week. So camp stoves and I brought my own tea bags with me, but sometimes there wasn't hot water as readily available all the time as I would have liked. So I'm just catching up on my Marks and Spencer addiction. And but I did want to mention. What did you want to? Oh, do I get a sip? Thank you. Nice. We put some ice cubes in Nathaniel so that he can drink it. Oh, that does have a nice little minty aftertaste to it. I had picked this up a couple of weeks ago at work, and there's a squirrel outside. So this is the Apricot Sunrise by Ahmed Teas, and we have a little tea chest at work, and we had an event that I made myself a cup of tea with this one. I really liked it, so I grabbed a second one and thought I would mention it on tea time at some point. So since you're drinking out of the little single sachets, I thought I would mention this single sachet. I only have the one of this one.
Do you have any more?
Of what? This one or that one?
That one.
The one that you're drinking, I have one more of that one at the stash.
Can I have it?
We'll talk about it. We'll negotiate later. So this is, I thought about drinking this one, but I was already sort of on a full caffeine hit with my Marks and Spencer, so I decided to go with that. While we were in the U.S., we did go to Barnes & Noble, and they have a Starbucks attached, and the Starbucks there sell the Harney & Sons teas. I looked at them, but I didn't buy anything, but I'm not going to say intrigued because I've had this type before, but I was sort of, I want some of that. Lap Librarian had an Instagram post with Tea Forte, and those are little triangular silk tea bags with loose leaf in them, and they have lots of different flavors, and she had mentioned that she was really anxious to try her lemon sorbet, and I thought, I'd like some of that, but I didn't see any while I was down there. I do know a store in Toronto that sells Tea Forte, so maybe I'll pick some of that up because it's kind of a fun tea to have. We had some when we were in Boston a couple of years ago at you didn't, but I did, at the restaurant. We were staying in a hotel, and I had a nice cup of tea in the restaurant, and I think the water's a little bit softer in Boston than it is in Toronto, so that was a really, really good cup of tea. Chip. Cheerio. Chip, cheerio. You're having British tea? So anyway, so cheers. What tea have you been drinking a lot this past week? Yeah, okay, that's good. What tea have you been drinking a lot of? We've been going to Tim Hortons.
Peppermint.
Your peppermint tea, you've been liking that because why did you want peppermint tea?
Because it'll roll up the rim.
It's Canada 150 roll up the rim for Tim Hortons, and so you get to win a prize, and you won? Oh, what did we do with yours? You won.
Oh.
Did we use it already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You won a free coffee and you bought a tea with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I won a latte and bought a tea with it. So yeah, Roll Up the Rim is Canadian legend. And my tea addiction to Tim Hortons steep tea goes up when it's time for that. What are you doing, silly? Anyway, that's tea time, and cheers.
Chip, cheerio.
Chip, cheerio. Okay, time to get serious. While I was making this lovely Vila shawl and working on this 2-color section, what did I do? I got a knot in my yarn. I got them all tangled up. And instead of just admitting defeat and cutting the yarn, keeping knitting, I decided I was not going to let that knot beat me. Yeah. So I worked away on the knot for a little while, and I'd think, oh, I should just cut it. And then I'd look at it and I'm almost there. I've got a breakthrough. I'd get a little tiny bit of a breakthrough, and I would then keep unknotting. And then I'd get tangled up again. Glimpse of a breakthrough, tangled. So I spent a very, very, very long time trying to untangle a knot just because I did not want it to beat me. I admitted to one person how many hours, because it was more than one, that I spent undoing this knot, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to say how many hours that was. Let's just say that I saw the sunrise come up that day because I was trying to not let this knot beat me. In the end, because when you're working with merino singles, it looked like a ratty piece. I ended up cutting one of the colors. Luckily, it wasn't the one I was working on. And I was able to then just slide it off and continue knitting. And then I had to rejoin. But that knot beat me. I felt so defeated, I'll have to say. And would I do it again? The sad thing is, probably, because who wants to let a knot defeat them? Not me. And that's my true confession. A knot beat me. Thank you so much for coming and joining us on the Comfy Red Couch this week. I hope that you've had a chance to have a nice relax, have a cup of tea with us, and do some knitting, crocheting, crafting, whatever you like to do. And we hope that we see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll stop.
Is that how you get rid of the sillies?
Yeah.
You breathe in. Yeah, be careful with pointy needles. That'll definitely get rid of the sillies if you have pointy needles and you poke yourself. That's not a good way to get rid of the sillies, is it?
But it's good for me.
Is it?
Yes.
Because you've got the sillies still?
Yes.
How much sugar did you have today? 5 what?
Graham crackers.
5 graham crackers. That'll do it. Okay, keep on knitting, kid. Seriously? You're so silly.